We pulling?
What's up? I'm Jim Fro, and this is the Ready Check Pull Boss Guide to Soulbinder Naazindhri on Normal and Heroic. Big thank you to our supporters on Patreon. We've completely overhauled our Patreon exclusive content this tier with early access, extended heroic walkthroughs, and a bunch more. Alright, so Soulbinder is a one-phase single-target fight with some moments of heavy AoE, and you bloodlust on pull. So you'll start the fight by tanking the boss in between two of these pad-looking things on the ground. Early on, the boss will spawn some small baby ads on top of the pads that start casting, and if the cast gets off, they transform into big bad ads. I'll go over what the ads do later, but the main thing is you have to kill them before their cast goes off. The problem is the boss also puts this barrier up that makes the ads basically immune to damage. To break the barrier, the two players targeted with a line need to quickly run behind one of the barriers each, and then an orb will spawn that travels towards the player, breaking the first barrier it runs into. When the barrier gets hit, it'll explode, doing some damage in a small radius around the container, so don't stand too close to it. And then it'll release the baby ads, and all you gotta do is cleave them down before their cast goes off. If a player gets hit by the orb, it does a ton of damage to you and makes you take 15% increased damage for 20 seconds. So you're pretty much dead, and it stops the orb from breaking the barrier. You then drag the boss over to the next containers and do the same thing. You can only break a maximum of 6 containers before the casts go off, releasing the other 6 big ads to be stacked and cleaved down. We aren't too sure if you'll need a specific route depending on which ads are in which containers. On Heroic, it's probably safest to kill the phase blades first if that's needed, or if it'll just be as simple as kill the outside ads first and then drag the boss to the middle so that the 4 ads are already ready to be cleaved down right when they spawn. You'll still need to interrupt, grip, knock, and all that good stuff to get the spare 2 ads in, but that should be way easier than having to move the 4 in the middle. Either way, this is big AoE city. There's a ton of damage happening to the raid during this, and there's a bunch of interrupts that need to happen. So this is definitely where you're going to want to assign healer CDs, mass grip, solar beam, stun rotations, and all the good stuff to control and blast the ads down as fast as possible. Once the ads are dead, you'll bring the boss back to the pad canisters and start the phase over again. And then it's just rinse and repeat. Now let's go over the ads abilities. The 3 ads are the Assassin, Mage, and Phase Blade. They all need to be picked up by the tanks. The Assassin does some single target damage and puts a dot on a random player. The Mage has a cast that was interruptible during testing, but there's no interrupt indicator in the journal, so we'll have to see. The Phase Blade, I'm pretty sure, is heroic only. Again, the journal was pretty unclear. But in testing, there were no Phase Blades in normal mode. But the Phase Blade also does an attack on a single player that then bounces to the rest of the raid, so try and target these guys first if possible. There's also a few other abilities going on during all of this. There's a spiked line that goes out around several players that, after a few seconds, shoot out orbs in the direction of each spike that need to be dodged. Any one hit gets a huge dot and a 45% slow for 15 seconds. To make it even more fun, the boss occasionally casts Arcane Expulsion. That's an absolutely massive damage knockback that can and will knock people into the orbs and off the edge. Pro tip, you can use this to get knocked towards the next set of canisters. For the tanks, they'll taunt swap after every Mystic Lash or whenever their debuff falls off. It's a channel that does a stack and debuff over 5 seconds. And that's pretty much it. Here's a quick recap for you to review or screenshot for later. You can find all of our recaps over at the Ready Check Pull Discord. Big thank you to our supporters on Patreon. We've got a ton of Patreon exclusive content coming this tier, like early access, extended heroic walkthroughs, and a bunch more. So check out the Discord and Patreon links below. Peace.